this.
Well, who hosts it?
I don't know. Some guy named Chris.
What's his deal?
Not really sure. Well, he likes Shawn Michaels. Oh, will you stop? What's funny about that?
I hope he doesn't lose his smile.
No, stop it. This is serious.
You mean Syracuse?
And welcome to the Hot Tag Podcast.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Hot Tag Wrestling Show. I am Christy Francesco. That is George Rogers III. I don't even know if that's real or not, but it sounded good right off the bat.
It couldn't be more wrong.
Well, listen, that's okay. Me being incorrect and reporting something incorrect, in the wrestling world, it's quite common these days, so I'm going to run with it. So we are here to cover a couple things, actually. We're going to talk a little bit about what's hot in the news, according to George, like what's so active in his brain in the wrestling world. We're going to kind of touch on the WWE Draft, which was a draft of everyone just almost staying exactly where they were, with a couple additions. And then maybe George and I will decide, who has, the better roster, which I honestly, spoiler alert, I think it's as even as you can get almost. It's really close to an even roster. I know, obviously SmackDown has some bangers, the same thing with Raw. So I think in the end, everything I think worked out fine. And then we're going to get to Extreme Rules from 2015. And then we're going to get into, I'll let everybody know what's ahead. There were some changes because I saw some dates of certain stuff that I want to change around. And I'll touch on that real quick before I get to George. So, we got Extreme Rules 2015, which I wanted to get in at the end of April, and here we are, April 30th, the very last day of the month, and we are covering this show. Then beginning next week, here's the rundown for May. We have the top 5 factions of all time, according to us. Night of Champions 2023, Money in the Bank 2019, and Extreme Rules 2015. So I know everyone might be wondering, not everyone, I'm not sure it's a big deal to y'all, but why are we doing a Extreme Rules here and then an Extreme Rules in May? For about 4 or 5 years, Extreme Rules was either in April or in May. So sometimes these pay-per-views fluctuated. Like Money in the Bank 2019 was in May, not June. So a lot of these pay-per-views just fluctuated. So, but it gives us a chance to cover more stuff, which is pretty cool and a more diverse options.
Remember when we got the same pay-per-view
every month? I know.
Remember when every year, every month, you knew to expect Unforgiven in September. You knew to expect the King in a Ring in June. And I know you were a big guy. You expected Sold Out in January. So
you're damn right. I was pumped up for Sold Out.
You're so pumped.
And then in June, we did this a long time ago. And I just didn't feel right about it in my heart of hearts. I just did not feel right about it. We are going to revisit through here our top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time. And then we're going to do Hell in a Cell from 2022. And then we're going to go in the Wayback Machine to a different promotion, one that is now dead. Unfortunately, no, that's not AEW, not yet. We're going to cover the Great American Bash from 1997. I'm sure Dean will join us for that one. He's a big WCW guy. Then I'm saving the biggest. And then I'm saving the final show of June. I'm trying to find a really good TNA pay-per-view to maybe review during that time. And then July... haven't gotten that far yet. Maybe that'll be when we start doing some SummerSlam discussions. We'll see what happens with that. But Backlash being this Saturday at 1 p.m. from France should be a lot of fun. I don't care what time it is. God, I love Saturday PLEs. I love it. I just love that it's Saturday now. It's just so great. But yeah, all right. So let's go into our first segment of tonight, and that is the wrestling world, according to George. George, what is on your mind?
Well, it's not even on my mind as much as it's the talk of the wrestling world, so to speak. The talk of the IWC on Twitter, that pack of mongrels and the bottom of the dumpster, the absolute bottom of the trash heap with those people. But the biggest news throughout the week is the fact that over in your favorite promotion, Christopher, over in AEW,
My
your
favorite.
boy Tony Khan became an
Mm.
on-screen character, and he took a Meltzer driver from the Young Bucks after
Oh,
good old
I'm
Jungle
gonna, I'm
Jack
gonna,
Perry
I'm gonna
returned
have to
at the
ban that
pay-per-view.
name from this show, Meltzer.
Meltzer, yeah.
It's just gonna be FDM from now on.
I'm just gonna say seltzer instead, and then just imagine I'm drinking a delicious beverage because
That's fine.
it's the only way I can really get through it. But Tony praised the man for trying his best to keep kayfabe alive, despite the fact that his company has done everything they could to destroy kayfabe in the last 5 years. Wore a neck brace at the NFL
Yeah.
draft on Thursday to sell his injury, even though he was turning his head, which Pat McAfee and his pack of jackals so rightfully called him out on, saying, if you're going to sell the neck injury, actually sell it and don't turn your head, you idiot. But you know what, though? Credit where credit's due.
Right.
The man committed to the bit.
Yeah.
And I kind of have to respect it.
Mm-hmm.
And then less than 24 hours, I took all of that respect back and gave it to somebody else. I don't even know. I think I stuck it in the mailbox, put the flag up.
My man
probably has it. He then went on an interview with the NFL Network where he had a chance to kind of talk about his brand, promote it to the NFL audience, because, you know, the NFL reaches way more people than wrestling does. It's a given. Super Bowl is always the most watched event on TV every year, hands down. He had a chance to go on and just kind of talk up his brand, which he did.
Yeah.
You know, he talked about how, you know, they're a little different, and then brought up the main competition, which is WWE, where he said, no, hey, we're like the Pepsi of wrestling, and we're facing the evil juggernaut that is WWE. It's like, okay, you know, all right, like I get it. You know, they're the competition. They're the evil empire, like Disney or Amazon or Apple or any of them. The biggest ones are always the most evil. And then went on to say, or to reiterate, that AEW is the Pepsi of professional wrestling, and WWE is the Harvey Weinstein of professional wrestling. Not exactly two things that are in the same field when it comes to comparisons.
No.
Imagine he didn't want to say Coke because it would probably bring up some other memories for him.
That were like an hour prior.
You could see, watching the interview, you could see the look of discomfort on the faces of the NFL analysts who were interviewing him.
For sure.
They
Yeah.
were like, and like you heard the music going, it's like, all right, roll through this. It was like if they were at the Oscars and they started playing the music, if your speech went too long, it's kind of like that, like just to get him off, which not only does it make that company look even more bush league than what it already does. I mean, Jim Cornette famously calls them outlaw mud show bullshit. Now, like, you really look like it. Now you just look like a carny.
Yeah, Carney's perfect. You look like a circus, a dead circus.
And you've ruined any amount of credibility that you have as an owner if these are the kind of jabs that you take on a national platform. So
right.
You have the national platform, and then you go out and you spew just verbal diarrhea on a national stage against the competition, which, by the way, is making more money now than ever has. WrestleMania broke so many records. And I don't know if you knew this, but even though they're the Harvey Weinstein of professional wrestling, apparently, who showed up on Raw last night, Chris? Patrick Mahomes.
Oh yeah, he had an angle with Logan Paul.
The biggest damn name in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Who's still actively playing. I still like Tom Brady.
Right.
It's neither here nor there, but he showed up on TV like with his Super Bowl ring with Logan Paul. Like, that's mainstream level.
Right.
They ain't getting that kind of level. Not to mention, after those comments, I don't know if these coincide or not, but AEW lost their TV deal in South America, aside from Brazil, the streaming service they had. And they also lost their deal with DAZN. Which was airing their pay-per-views and their shows because people weren't watching it. Yeah,
and it's I mean, people really aren't watching it now. But notwithstanding,
it's crazy because the night before
whenever Dynamite was, or whenever, Dynamite would have been Wednesday night because the draft was Thursday.
Yeah, draft was Thursday.
Yeah, so I text George and I say, you know what?
You called me. You called me.
I call. That's right.
Which
called
was
George
because I don't get phone calls.
So unless I have like a great idea, I'll call George. But I said, you know what? I can't believe I'm saying this, but I really got to give the dude credit for going on national TV and keeping kayfabe on that. Even though, he did clearly turn his head to the side and look up. I'm like, dude, your neck hurts. Stop.
And like, I'm the biggest hater. I'm just shooting you down. I'm like, he's turning his head. It looks dumb. You're like, oh, but he's trying. I'm like, trying. All right, fine, Chris. I'm drinking big glasses of haterade over here. I'm not even caring.
And then the next night, it's as if the George Karma gods come out to play, and he does the whole, they're the little engine that could up against, Harvey Weinstein of pro wrestling. And I'm like, this son of a bitch, I just gave you a little bit of credit, a little bit of leeway the night before. And that's what you do. You go ahead and you absolutely annihilate yourself and the company that you're, hemorrhaging money with.
It's almost like this wasn't the flex you thought it was.
Yeah, I can't even believe. Look, and I'm not take away all the haterade that I have for AEW. He's not a stupid guy. Like, he's a smart man, a smart businessman. I don't know why in any sense he thought that was a smart thing to say. Like, one, you have a national stage here you're on ESPN, you're getting interviewed. Why don't you promote your company without mentioning the other brand? The brand that is literally the Walt Disney world, the Walt Disney of pro wrestling forever. You're like, you're a nobody to that company. You're never going to be the WWE. You're never going to have an honest competition against them. The WWE doesn't care that you exist because they know that you're completely irrelevant. You make no money. And why, instead of going on ESPN and promoting your product and just saying, look, tune in on TNT on Wednesday nights and the other garbage shows that nobody else watches and promote that, why do you got to go on and poke the gigantic bear? I mean, you're not going to get a response from WWE because, again, AEW is worthless. They are 100% meaningless to World Wrestling Entertainment and what's going on over there. He continues to drive his company and his brand deeper and deeper in the hole. And I've said this to everybody before. If Tony Khan would shut up, hire people under him to take care of the day-to-day creative and to actually, someone who knows the wrestling business, not a fantasy Meltzer booker that Tony Khan really is. And it's proof. If he would just focus on a foundational aspect of his company and how to properly make this thing go forward, then he would be a legitimate competition. People don't look at guys like Jericho and Edge and Christian as, Samoa Joe, I think he's always been overrated, but as, good job going to AEW. You're going to get a good shot there. People, they've become sad. Edge, it's so sad. And, Christian and Samoa Joe and Jericho, like, it's sad. It's sad to see at what Edge is doing over there. It sucks. It's embarrassing. And, Sasha Banks, who obviously never drew a single penny in her life in WWE, but she was still a global superstar. She was known. She was a big deal in the women's division. Nobody gives a damn about her
because people want to see her wrestle, but she hasn't done that yet. All she's done is cut promos. She isn't gonna have. I don't think she's gonna have her first match till Double or Nothing, which is next month.
Yeah. One, I don't think there's really any non-competes anymore. So that's, and he's not going to AEW. He's not. And guess what? If Vince goes to AEW, then AEW is going to sink even further down because no sponsors are going to back anything with Vince McMahon.
I know. Concerning some of the storylines, part of me thinks he's there already.
There's no chance.
But here's the thing.
Vince McMahon will never be in a wrestling organization again in America.
Yeah. But here's the thing. It's his comments they don't just hurt him and hurt AEW. He is the head of football operations for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Too. Yeah, man.
Do you think anybody is going to want to interview this man ever again after those comments?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you just buried your fucking football team.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, other than that, fun news. What else is in your head?
Well, also, I mean, staying on that topic, but I
Mm-hmm.
do have some bright news with that.
Mm-hmm.
Not like you noticed, because it's not being talked about in any real positive light, because it's kind of being buried and swept under the rug with all the other nonsense and degradation that's going on in that company. But Swerve Strickland,
Yeah, man,
Sunday,
congrats.
won their crown jewel, the AW World title,
Mm-hmm.
their first black champion. They cut me in their 5-year company, but hey, still being the first is still a hell of an honor. Yeah, he's right.
That's right.
But I mean, it's still a hell of an honor. And Swerve, by all accounts, he basically got over under his own power. The crowd got behind him the whole way.
Yeah.
And him
Good
win
for
the
him.
title, that's huge. Good for him. I mean, he was a guy that got cut from WWE, and we didn't think anything was going to happen with him.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, good for him. He went to the other company, and by hook or crook, this man became a top draw.
For sure, man.
As much of a draw as you can be, but people are talking about Swerve. People liked him. Even before the pay-per-view happened, everyone had him pegged as beating Samoa Joe. I didn't think it was going to happen, because I've been watching wrestling for so long, and the logical person to win never ends up winning.
Right.
That's 30 years of Vince McMahon booking. That's just kind of ingrained in our heads. And, in WCW, when that was going with the NWO. But
that's why it was so great to see Drew beat Rollins, even though I'm a Rollins fanatic. It was great seeing Drew, and then you see Damian Priest cash, and I'm like, God, that never would have happened with Vince.
No.
It was so good to see that.
He would have lost that contract in a nothing match against Otis or something.
Yes.
But now, interesting stat here, Chris. 57.5% of NFL players are black, African American. Mm-hmm. So if you're Tony Khan and you're doing an interview, why not lead with that?
I agree.
That would get you some credibility. That would get you some fans, some people who are watching the draft.
Yep.
I mean, those are just the players. I'm sure fans, it's larger just because of the
personnel.
Personnel, just because of the fact that when you're in the NFL, you're basically looked at as a role model.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you kill your wife and a waiter in 1994. Then not so much. But a lot of football players are looked at as role models. They do a lot of work, Make-A-Wish and various charities. Lead with something like that. So that way, if there's any other like African Americans watching, their champion is like me, maybe I'll go see what they're about.
Yeah.
Just tuning in out of curiosity. And then once they turn it on, you got Orange Cassidy sticking his hands in his fucking pockets. And they're like, all right, done. But, I would have led with something like that. Poor Swerve. His title reign is going to go completely forgotten unless he has some real blowout matches.
Right. And that's also accurate.
They don't need Brock Lesnar. They'll just have Chris Jericho do it.
Yeah, Hook will do it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then lose to Chris Jericho because he's not
lose to Jericho. Chris, Terry Bollea, Jericho.
Can't wait till Thunder in Paradise gets remade with Chris Jericho.
Oh dear God, his hair plugs are gonna fall out. So hopefully they can get Brutus, the fucking barber, back on a jet ski. That was wrong. I'm sorry. That was
storm.
Yeah, that was mean. But yeah, congrats to Swerve Strickland. I hope
big props to Swerve.
I really hope he gets promoted. I hope it's treated correctly because he is a stud. I'm sure in a couple years we'll see him back in WWE. But for now, it's really good for him to be where he is, learn what not to do and what to do, and then hopefully be back with the major leagues in a couple years. So, all right.
He'd also be a showstopper in TNA.
No, he'd be really good in TNA. I agree.
I just wish TNA was on a channel that you could get if you have Xfinity or cable.
So before we get to Extreme Rules, man, you have anything else?
What about the draft? We got on the draft.
Yeah, I mean,
That draft. Let's talk about the big leagues for a minute. Let's get back up to,
why we're here.
Let's get out of the farm system
Yeah.
and out of the playground. Back into the farm here.
I will say let's kind of go over some of the draft picks. I'm going to go through a few names that are going to be on SmackDown exclusively. Undisputed champion Cody Rhodes obviously will stay with SmackDown. Bayley, the women's champion, stays on SmackDown. Logan Paul stays on SmackDown. A-Town Down Under, unfortunately, is employed, but they're also on SmackDown. Then the number 1 overall pick was Bianca Belair. Carmelo Hayes, who, it opens up, basically going up, wrestles Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship in the main event.
Was that a title match or was that just a match?
I think it was for the title.
Yeah,
I think it was. Randy Orton, Nia Jax, LA Knight, The Bloodline, AJ Styles, Andrade, Baron Corbin, Jade Cargill, Kevin Owens, Tiffany Stratton, Shinsuke, just to name a few here. And then you go over to the Raw side, World Heavyweight Champion for now, Damian Priest, Becky Lynch, Sami Zayn, Awesome Truth, Jey Uso, CM Punk, Seth freaking Rollins, Braun Breaker, Liv Morgan, Sheamus, just kind of going through. Imperium stays on Raw. Drew McIntyre, the Judgment Day. Dragunov comes up from NXT, which I thought was just an awesome get for Monday Night Raw. Yeah. The Final Testament's over there. Dijak is up from NXT as well. He's also on Raw. So overall, man, look, a lot of people stayed in the same spot, which, we kind of saw that coming, especially with these television deals that are going to be started up in a matter of months. What were your thoughts on the draft, and who do you think has the overall better roster?
I like a lot of people were bashing the draft for it. It's like all these people stayed the same place. There's 2 shows. You're either going to be on one or the other. like what did you expect? A full on swap?
Right.
Some people are going to stay. They're only going to do the bigger names on TV. So you got to take the good with the bad.
Right.
But I'm telling you, I mean, as much as I love SmackDown, I love SmackDown's roster, but Raw really stepped up. And this was a show that was kind of just stagnant. There was nothing. But I told you this back in Gorilla, Chris. This mid card on both shows on Raw and SmackDown,
for sure. Yeah.
This has all the potential to rival the mid card of the Ruthless Aggression era.
And I agree, especially with Raw being 3 hours. That mid card is really going to have to be, is going to really have to capture people. And I feel like Raw really did that with that mid card talent. So I 100% agree with you. I'm really happy that Gunther's staying on Raw. I think they need him because I really do think they're preparing him for a world title run. Or, at least a rivalry there, because maybe they planted the seeds a little bit on Raw at the end. There might be a point where Damian Priest gets turned babyface, maybe. So I saw that. But yeah, I think, look, if you're looking for name value, obviously I think SmackDown has that. Cody, Bayley, Logan Paul, Bianca Belair, Orton, Carmelo Hayes, LA Knight, AJ Styles, Andrade, some banger names on that show. But I think you're right. Overall, I love the NXT call-ups that went to Monday Night Raw. So that's a big deal. So yeah, I'm looking forward to how this shakes up moving forward. It's going to be great once CM Punk, Rollins, and McIntyre are back every Monday. Holy moly, that show's going to be just must watch.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the ride to SummerSlam.
We got a little bit of a backstage tease on Monday Night Raw with Sheamus and Braun Breaker. Don't even fucking tease me.
Yeah, I mean,
just give me the match, make them a tag team. I don't care.
Yeah.
Put them together.
Yeah, they'll beat the piss out of each other.
I'm and really Gunther's on that show too.
Yes, it's gonna be fun.
Good Lord.
Yep. All right, so let's get to one of the reasons we are here. We are covering Extreme Rules from 2015. It just celebrated its 9-year anniversary a few days ago on April 26th. It occurred in Rosemont, Illinois, inside the All-State Arena. 14,200 people sold out. This back then it was called pay-per-views, not PLEs.
What a
right.
time.
This was also the third Extreme Rules event to not feature an Extreme Rules match, which was, after the 2009 and 2011 matches, pay-per-views. The event was available on the WWE Network on pay-per-view. It had 56,000 buys. That was excluding the network. It's down from the previous years of 108,000 buys. But I look at it this way: that's neither here nor there, because that just tells me more people went and bought the WWE Network and watched on the network. Yeah. That's realistically what it was. So George, what's your thoughts? Obviously, we both watched the pay-per-view. What are your thoughts about the Extreme Rules pay-per-view since its inception?
I mean, it's a gimmick pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And I really don't have a problem with that, because, I mean, you and me, our generation growing up, we had, the hardcore matches. We had the hardcore title. We had ECW. We having something like that, it kind of harkens back to our childhood a bit, or like our years of growing up. An Extreme Rules match. I told you this. I was like, I hate the term Extreme Rules. Just go back to calling it a hardcore match.
I agree.
Which may or may not happen. I mean, we know Triple H isn't going to shy away from saying a word like hardcore. This is a man
or Dirty Sanchez.
This is a man who dropped the Dirty Sanchez joke on Raw.
Exactly.
And like I told you, it's like he probably was like, "Hey, Ray, go do this." And he's like, and then after he did, he's like, "Hey, Road Dogg, give me $20. I told you you'd say it." It was probably something like that. But the thing is, at this time in the company, even as extreme as these matches are, they still pale in comparison to what we actually had back in the day.
Of course. Yeah.
Like, it's like Extreme Rules, but it's safe. It's like if you're watching, Cinemax late at night and it's like, ooh, like porn, but you got no penetration. It's like, oh, good. I got tits. I mean, I can get that watching Titanic. That's nothing. So, like, I mean, here, you're getting your kendo stick shots, like your table spots. The chair shots always to the back or to the arm.
Yeah.
Kind of take away a little bit from it, but I understand why they don't do the headshots anymore. I completely understand it.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And I agree with it. If we can prevent 5 Chris Benoits from happening, I'm fine.
If we can prevent, what Mick Foley went through at any point in time, I'm okay with that.
Royal Rumble 99 still makes my teeth rattle when I watch
we're going to be covering that next year. So,
ooh, boy, oh boy. But I like the concept. It's just having Extreme Rules pay-per-view in 2015 when you're knee deep in the PG era.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Doesn't really resonate.
Yeah. I agree. All right, so let's kind of get rolling here. Look, we open it up obviously with, there's pyro. I mean, in 2015, there wasn't too much pyro at the time because for some reason a multi-billion-dollar company, Vince McMahon, wanted to cut back on prices, and let's cut pyro, which is a lot of fans look forward to the pyro. That's what we spent 30 years on. It's opening up shows with pyro, which is awesome.
5 guys out there with sparklers at this point.
It was a bunch of people waiting for Gilbert.
It's like Gilbert's entrance.
Exactly. So they open up the match. I mean, first off, the set wasn't impressive. This was an era, again, where it just had the Extreme Rules, logo on the screen and WWE logo. That's just what they were doing. And WWE is kind of still in that realm where a lot of the sets are going to be the same, probably except for WrestleMania, which is whatever. I mean, I really do miss the sets. And I did read somewhere that Triple H wants to bring back, fun sets for, the big pay-per-views. But we'll see, because they also want to eliminate sets so to create more space for more fans, because, oh, that's right, they're selling out everywhere that they go. Opening fight here, Chicago Street Fight. Dean Ambrose versus Luke Harper. I thought this was a great choice for a pay-per-view opener. I mean, the crowd went nuts for Dean Ambrose. I mean, he was super popular as a babyface here. You know, and I thought this was, you know, a pretty standard, you know, normal WWE match with how they start these matches with their weapons and kendo sticks, you know, steel chairs. Fans wanted tables. But look, I thought this was a really good match. Actually, I didn't mind it whatsoever. I always liked Luke Harper's in-ring work. I really thought he was so underrated. What was your thoughts on the opener here?
It was good for what it was. I like this match right up until it went south.
Oh yeah, you mean when we had to finish it later on in the show?
When they fucking left the goddamn, like they, not even like they left the arena and went and go fought in the Mississippi River like Bob Holly and Al Snow in '99. Like no, they like drove away in a car and like went and got dinner and then came back and made it like they were still fighting. Like get
it was hard.
Like
Yeah,
come on, like Vince, are you fucking kidding me right now?
Yeah, it was hard.
It's hard. It was really hard watching this pay-per-view and just seeing like where we've been for the last maybe 6-7 months.
I thought the same thing
to where we are now. And I'm like, God, like this was bad. And I made the joke when they made the Harvey Weinstein thing. I said, oh, like when did WWE ever rape anybody? Then I was like, oh, well, except if you count the years in between 2012 and 2021. Like, and then watching this, like, damn, I was a little on point with that.
Yeah, dude, like, did you find yourself, you know, we talk about all the time, you, me, and Dean, the three best friends that anyone can have. And, you know, we bring this up before, like, sometimes it's hard to remember maybe how bad that era was. And then I watch Extreme Rules 2015 and I go, oh my God, like I watched all of this. I watched a lot of this. I watched Raw and I watched SmackDown during all of this time. It's like, what kept me doing this? So you're right. In comparison to what we've got in the past year or so, holy cow, like this era was really bad. And it's not going to be looked back on fondly at all. And like at all.
No.
I mean, there were some obviously bright spots in this era, but I mean, it was very few and far between.
Very few and far between.
For sure. Next match here is the Kiss Me Arse match.
And this is not one of them.
Right. Sheamus versus Dolph Ziggler. Look, you know, Dolph got the win by pinfall. You know, Ziggler won, beat Sheamus with an inside cradle. But at least it wasn't the roll up of death, right? So that's always
might as well be. It's inside cradle of death.
You know, I was actually surprised that Sheamus lost this match because this is an era where Dolph wasn't really that much of a winner in this era. But
well, I mean, yeah, you're right. I was because he got kind of hot after Survivor Series 2014 when Sting came back.
Right.
When Sting debuted, not when Sting came back. It's so weird saying.
Right.
And yeah, he was riding kind of high, and then like Sheamus had just returned as well. So it's, you know, it's like the two of them did not need a gimmick match.
No, they didn't.
They could have just went out and gave you a 15-minute banger. I mean, Sheamus now talks about banger after banger after banger. I mean, yeah, Sheamus could put on a hell of a match. This was a good match for what it was, but the ending and the stupid ass kiss my arse match. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
I feel like an idiot just saying that.
Right. Exactly. So look, it was a decent match for the time it was given. It was just around 10 minutes. I mean, I wasn't sure because I don't remember this pay-per-view much at all. So I'm watching it as almost as I was doing it for the first time. You know, I wasn't sure how this ending was going to be booked. Because seeing who's wrestling this match, I wasn't expecting an ass-kissing moment at all at the end of this match. So they did that, you know, the predictable ending, which I figured, which is, you know, Sheamus doing some cheap shots, being a heel, which worked, I felt. He did a really good job of getting heat during the match. But look, overall, I thought it was okay. look, the first match hasn't even ended yet, and we're already through this one. So, yeah, overall, it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. The next one here for the tag team titles, Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, which I thought were a phenomenal tag team, versus the New Day. It is so crazy to say the New Day in 2015. Which was Big E and Kofi Kingston. Obviously, Xavier Woods was not wrestling here during this whole match. Man, all you got was "New Day sucks" chants, which was like the most popular chant for fans at this time.
They were heels.
I know, and it was unbelievable.
Like, people forget that when the New Day first got together, they were a heel group.
Mm-hmm.
They were another one who got over, despite everything from up top. They got over organically.
Yeah. And I'm going to, I'm really going to highlight this match for two guys. The crowd loved Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. It's just, I think the crowd loved the appreciation of how great they were in ring. Cesaro was just so over with the crowd. If I ever get a chance to say an FU to Vince McMahon, it was how he handled the entire run of Cesaro, because I think he is single-handedly, in my opinion. There's two guys who I believe are the most underrated performers in the history of wrestling that I've been watching. In my 30 years of watching wrestling, that should have been superstars. No. Underrated. Cesaro's number one, Shelton Benjamin's number two. And those are my two guys. And I feel watching this match, man, I was like, God dang, Cesaro was always so good, so gifted, and just a freak of an athlete.
If only they could have forced Vince out sooner.
Oh my gosh, I know. I would have loved to have seen Cody and Cesaro, more Rollins, Cesaro, AJ Cesaro. Even like a Carmelo Hayes and Cesaro, like it just would have been perfect. Then you have like Tyson Kidd suicide dive outside the ring was incredible. He was just so good. Tyson Kidd sharpshooter felt like he locked that sucker in. So I love seeing a locked in sharpshooter. I thought that was going to be the finish, but then, Big E saved Kingston. And then the match kind of kept going. But we did get the roll up of death. And it happened on Cesaro, and I was like, "Oh, damn it!" Yeah. Like, damn, because that took it from a 4-star match to me to a 3-star. They had about 10 minutes, and 9.5 minutes of it were awesome. What was your thoughts on this one?
I thought it was a good tag team match. Like
you
said, there were a few bright spots in that time frame, but some tag teams were really going above and beyond. To go out and put on a hell of a match. And I mean, yeah, the ending was just, I would have rather have been like the big ending or the midnight hour, which was New Day's actual tag team finisher. The big ending combined with Kofi coming off the top rope with the DDT or the second rope, whatever he came off of. Now it's something else that they use with Woods. But like, it's so weird seeing New Day get booed.
I know.
And also 2015, we're in 2024 right now, and the New Day are still together. Well, when he's not making guest appearances in the door behind me.
So I'll ask you this, man. Like I know that winning the titles here benefited the New Day, and they needed that. I get it. But this was only a 2-month run for Cesaro and Kidd. I would have really liked to see them have a couple more months with this, like get them to SummerSlam maybe at least, and then maybe have the payoff there with New Day. But I really thought Cesaro and Tyson Kidd deserved a longer run there.
You could have had a nice little feud leading up to SummerSlam. Get a good payoff match instead of just a basic, late 2 versus 2. You do a ladder match.
Agreed.
Tail match, tag team cage match. How long has it been since we had a tag team cage match?
It's been a long time.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
That's not War Games.
So let's go on to Chicago Street Fight Part 2. That would be Dean. Yeah, it's here. We have to. We're going in sequence here. Dean Ambrose and Luke Harper, they come back to the arena fighting, and the crowd still loved it. And I was just like, what the hell is going on right now? They flood the ring with chairs. I thought Ambrose did a good job of winning in a very decisive manner. He slammed Harper off the top rope, leading to Harper landing on a pile of chairs in the ring, and then Ambrose hits the Dirty Deeds for the win. They only went about 5 minutes when they returned from fighting in the car. Technically speaking, the match went about an hour, so this was an Iron Man hardcore match.
The funny thing is that they were talking about how they were fighting in the car like along the streets, but when they left, Luke Harper was driving the car. When they came back, Dean Ambrose was driving the car.
Well, he beat him up, brother.
So at some point they stopped, did a Chinese fire drill, and got back in, and Ambrose was at the driver's seat. Like,
correct.
All right, let's go back now. Come on, we gotta go do this.
So, I give it 2 stars for the sense that it was pretty unique. Like, the whole idea of it was unique. I thought it was stupid, but it's still unique. I think something can be unique and stupid at the same time. This was, I think, Dean Ambrose's very first win on pay-per-view. And I'm that's kind of crazy as a singles guy. It was his first win on pay-per-view. I thought it was obvious he was going to get the win. And as over as he was, I don't think Luke Harper was in that spot yet to where he's going to just outright beat Dean Ambrose.
There was a lot of people who suffered in that era because of the booking. And Luke Harper was one of those guys. Bray Wyatt was one of those guys.
Absolutely.
Ambrose was maybe on the wrong side of the booking sometimes. Like when he won the title, I don't think he should have gotten it.
Yeah.
I don't think he was due. But they had to have that moment of all 3 Shield members holding the belt on the same night. Like, get the fuck out of here. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But like, I never thought Dean Ambrose was world championship material. Just because he was never really like Rollins, you could get behind Rollins. He was a snarky, bullshitty heel. Roman, the big face that they're trying to push, like the quote unquote next John Cena. Like, yeah, I expect him with the belt. Ambrose, that's like seeing, and I don't mean no disrespect, but it's like seeing Mick Foley with the title.
Yeah, I know.
It didn't look good. I'm not saying Mick didn't deserve it.
Right.
But it looked like an odd fit.
Let me ask you, and I've been criticized for this for a long time because I was told for so many years.
I can hear Dean cracking his knuckles right now, getting ready to type. So what do you got?
I was told for so many years and criticized because I was told for a long time that Dean Ambrose or Jon Moxley is a great promo guy. Can you please tell me one good Dean Ambrose or Jon Moxley promo?
No, I can't.
When people say to me, he's one of the most real talents out there, he's a great promo, I'm thinking I can't name one good promo that this guy has ever done. And when I watch him talk, I sometimes think he can't even get a sentence out.
When he was a mouthpiece for the Shield and he was doing like the backs, like those, I'm like, all right, like those were good because it fit the gimmick of the Shield.
Yeah.
When he went solo, just nothing.
I agree.
New Japan, nothing. AW, nothing. This is the guy whose interview was so bad on the Stone Cold podcast that they ended that show on WWE Network.
Agreed. I agree.
He gave Austin's like, come on, just give me something.
Yeah, that was the most embarrassing interview ever.
Like, it's like, dude, fucking like, this is what happens when you refuse to cater to I'm not saying anyone that goes to WWE should cater to the system, but they will play to your strengths. Promo was not his strength.
No.
He was so dead set that, I was so good in CZW. Well, good for you. CZW routinely shows up at the Armory in Philly. You're not doing anything. The crowd
was already high when you were talking, so they have no idea what you're saying or remember it.
Not only were the tickets free, but the pills were.
Yeah. Here we go with the next match here, which is one of the guarantees of the show, which was a John Cena win. It's the United States title match, the Russian chain match, as it was billed. John Cena versus Rusev with Lana. Look, I don't care how piss poor the match was. It had the most reaction throughout the best reaction of the night from start to finish. And that's because, again, this was an era where I couldn't appreciate the guy. But John Cena, man, like, it didn't matter what he did. If he was involved in something, the crowd was vocal and everyone was an active participant. He just is pure. The only thing I could say about Cena, man, that dude is just pure star power. It's what he is. It's forever, always since the day he joined the roster on SmackDown that night. Against Kurt Angle, he's just been star. That's what he is. I just didn't like the match. Like, I really at all. I give them credit for doing some creative spots where each man nearly got the win. Cena hit the attitude adjustment twice to get the win. So I don't think, Rusev was completely buried in the match. I didn't think it was that creative, though. Basic stuff. I actually think the chain restricted them a lot from doing probably what they wanted to do. There were some moves that just did not look smooth at all, especially with the transitions. But damn, man, it was all right. I actually blame the stipulations for this being a bad wrestling match. I just didn't think that was fair to Cena, but the job was done. He retained the title and they did what they wanted to do, which was have the American, beat the Bulgarian, right? What was your thoughts on this one?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't like rope matches, chain
I agree.
matches where you got to hit the a strap match. Excuse me,
Yeah.
strap match. I don't like where you got to hit the turnbuckle
Mhm.
because logic you have to kind of throw logic out the window in a match like this.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because there are times where like Cena was down or like Rusev is down. It's like, yo, you guys can just literally run right now and hit all 4 buckles and be done. But you're putting on a show. You gotta work the gimmick.
Yeah.
But
Bro.
then just do the match where you're tethered together, but just make it a pinfall. Hitting the turnbuckles really kind of doesn't do much for me because when someone's laid out, it's not like and the chain was long. It was a long chain.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it was a 3-foot chain. Like you gotta where you're tethered and you literally can't get to the rope without dragging your opponent's like lifeless body over to each corner to hit the buckles. Like that was a long fucking chain.
Mm-hmm.
So like at any point, someone could have been laid out in the middle of the ring, and any one of them could just be like, "Well, all right," and then go around.
Yeah,
but Rusev looked good though.
He did.
Cena
He
made
did.
Rusev look good. I've always been a Rusev guy.
Me too.
I wish I could see him wrestle. It's a shame. I don't know where I don't know where he is. Maybe he'll show up someday.
Right.
But and Rusev's one of those guys. He's kind of got it all. He can work the mic. He can go in the ring. I didn't like his barefoot approach to wrestling.
Me either.
Which
I'm not
he stopped the second he broke his ankle in the one match. It's like, oh, time to put the boots on. Maybe that's what it take. Maybe that's what it take for Solo to wear boots.
Next match here is for the Divas title. That you could visibly see a lot of people getting up from their seats and going to get ready for their piss break or get something to eat or drink. Man,
I was one of them, and I could have fast forwarded.
Well, I kind of did, but I will just get through. I was surprised in 2015 to see Naomi. To be honest, I was like, oh wow, she was there at that time. Dang, okay. Look, Nikki
and pre-glow Naomi.
I know. Winner by pinfall is Nikki Bella. Look at whatever. I mean, I know the Bellas think that they're way more important than they really ever were or are, but nobody cared. And I don't care. So I don't mean that to be disrespectful. It's just a fact. No one cared then, and really, I didn't care now.
I will say this: Nikki did get better in the ring.
She really did. I agree.
She really knuckled down and tried to shed the whole valet image of just kind of showing up to help.
She worked
somebody
very
out for
hard.
the whole thing. She really knuckled down and got between the ropes and trained and worked hard because you could see the progression of her. Brie, a little bit, but Nikki really dove in. She was clearly the Shawn Michaels of that group. I mean, they're both
true.
right now. I mean, I can't say anything. They literally make money hand over fist.
They really do.
So
Yeah,
I can't.
they're really
I
good
can't
businesswomen.
criticize.
Yeah. Next
This
match
was also
here
a transition era for the Divas. How
for
we're getting away
sure.
from the Divas.
Yeah.
I mean, we really weren't that far away from Charlotte, Becky, and
Mm-hmm.
Sasha debuting.
Yep.
Paige
You're
was
right.
already there, so.
Mm-hmm. Next match, anything that involves one of these participants is like almost like just automatic fast forward.
-5 stars.
Yeah, but we got to talk about it. It's the last man standing match. Roman Reigns, the Big Dog era versus the Big Show. So,
Big Dog versus the Big Show.
like this is like this was a time, and everyone knows, where Roman Reigns is literally being shoved down our proverbial throats by Vince McMahon, and it's just awful. Like I mean, it was every 5 seconds I felt like we were hearing about Roman Reigns. He was still coming down like a Shield member, which I hated for so long. Once the Shield ended, like, dude, you're your own guy now. Like
that was one of Dean's biggest complaints too.
It was my biggest complaint.
That it wasn't even that he kept using the Shield music. He kept wearing the Shield attire. It's like, dude.
Yeah, you got to become different. You got to change up, man. Thank God he became who he became. And it's an awesome, awesome story what Roman Reigns turned into. When you watch this pay-per-view in 2015, just thank whatever you want to thank for the Roman Reigns we've had the past 3 or 4 years.
I'll tell you who I think. I think whoever the hell it was who told Roman, hey, can you stop wearing blue fucking contacts? God, they were distracting. I mentioned this to one of the guys I work with today. I was like, hey, I was talking about how I was watching it. And he was like, oh, you mean blue contact era Roman? I was like, yes.
Oh, that's funny. But you're right. It was very distracting since you brought it up, and I was just paying attention to it. Big Show was, I guess, dominant for the first half of this match. Most of the offense was okay and believable. But when he did that splash off the middle rope, you lost me. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I give credit to Reigns. I mean, he had to sell it like it was a huge deal, and he stayed down for an 8 count. But that was like, what are we doing here?
Remember in
this is a
WWE
7-foot giant.
when he would do a missile drop kick from the top rope.
Oh, God. When Reigns got the momentum back by tossing Show off the top rope, it did reset the match a little bit, and it kind of shifted completely to Roman Reigns taking control. Big Show gave Roman Reigns a chokeslam from the inside of the ring through 2 tables. That was a pretty good spot. Good bump by Roman, who all of a sudden, when the count got 8, my man shot out of a cannon to get up to make sure that this match didn't end.
I think Seth Rollins went to the Roman Reigns school of selling.
Yeah. What I liked about it, it's not something we see often, but it was a pretty impressive moment seeing that choke slam from the inside of the ring through 2 tables on the outside. You got a couple holy shit chants from the crowd. But Reigns gets up at 9, then fell back down. I think once he got up, it was pretty decent selling, but to get to 8 where you look like you're a dead human being to all of a sudden you're jumping right up at 9, like, okay, well, start moving at like 6, pal. like let's do this a little bit better here.
Sell it a little bit.
I know.
You got to build the drama.
Yes. You get near the finish. The match went into another gear once Reigns hit Show with a big spear through the barricade at ringside. I was even watching it now. I'm kind of done with that spot. It was just so overdone. I thought the finish looked good. They stood on the announce table. Then we could see, Show looking down to see what his fall would be like. And then when Reigns speared him, the crowd popped huge when Show went through the table. It doesn't matter, man. That spot's always big with fans. Fans love seeing that table crash. But that's it, man. Roman Reigns gets the win here. I gave it, 3.5 stars. I thought it was good. The outcome obviously was always going to probably be Roman Reigns. Yeah. They were feuding for the better part of about 3 or 4 months at this time, if I was researching this pretty correctly.
Too long.
Yeah. They did an awesome job, though, of showing that Roman was able to keep on fighting, especially against a quote unquote giant. I feel like it was becoming a very similar build to how Cena was built up as that top babyface for so many years, where, you know, go ahead.
It's kind of like the bloom is off the rose with Big Show. That's the thing.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree.
it's one thing in like 99, 2000, like 2001, like in that era, like, yeah, like beating the Big Show,
Yeah.
that was a big thing, overcoming the odds. By the time you get to 2015, it's like, dude, everybody has beaten you. Beating you now means nothing.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Always, I mean, for so many years, I was like, dude, who cares? Who
Every time
cares
he
who beats
enters the
Big Show?
Rumble, oh, who's going to eliminate this guy? Fucking anybody.
I agree. But I will say again, and this goes, and even in this era, like Roman Reigns never really has a bad match, man. Like, just never had a bad match, even with the Big Show. What's going on, Tyson? Thanks for checking us out. So we get to the main event here. WWE title inside of a steel cage. Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton. And of course, the stipulations here. The RKO is banned for Orton, and Kane is the guardian of the cage, or the gate, as they say at ringside. Yeah, he's the gatekeeper. Corporate Kane. Corporate Kane is the gatekeeper.
Morgan's favorite.
Let's see. None of the pinfall attempts prior to Kane's interference really did anything for me, because we kind of knew Kane was gonna get involved at some point. I will say, man, that superplex by Orton to Rollins from the top of the cage was pretty friggin' cool. Ooh. Like, it's like sometimes we don't even understand how high of a drop that is. So for them two guys to do that big of a bump, holy moly. That was good stuff. I love seeing Orton do the pedigree. That that got the crowd up. That was really cool. That was just really cool to see that. And then you got Kane giving the double choke slam to J&J Security. Then you have Kane giving the Randy Orton choke slam, and then they cheered for Kane for taking out Rollins, which was hilarious. It made Kane like the ultimate tweener in this match, I thought. I'm like, what are they doing here? It's just like a double turn?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on right now? This dude's just supposed to be the gatekeeper looking stupid as Corporate Kane, and now they're doing like a double turn here with the guy. Orton hitting the RKO on Kane was pretty big. The crowd popped big for that. It was banned to use on Rollins, but I think it was pretty creative that they were able to still have Orton hit an RKO on someone. Rollins hit Orton with an RKO, which wasn't bad. And then, of course, Rollins is crawled out of the cage to retain the title. I only gave this match 2.5 stars because I knew who was going to win. It was just a matter of how, and we knew Kane was likely going to be the difference maker, but how and when. I just thought what hurt the match was that they just didn't have a lot of near finishes. Once Kane got involved, that's when everything kind of just started with the match. It just kind of broke down because it felt like it was just more about Kane going after Orton or Kane getting his shit in, bro. I thought Rollins and Orton worked great. Obviously, they had an absolute barn burner at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I just felt like at this time, man, maybe even before this time, I just was kind of done with cage matches. I kind of really was. Nearly every cage match has interference. So it's like whenever people see that a cage match is announced, it's almost like, well, I mean, it's not really a cage match. There's going to be 2 or 3 other people that's going to end up being involved. What was your thoughts on this main event?
I mean, it was good. It was a good natural progression. It picked up where they left off at WrestleMania with Orton getting the win over Rollins. I mean, Rollins did, the heist of the century did end up coming away with the title, but it would make sense that Orton would get the title shot. He did beat Rollins at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, he continued the feud, or the Orton not part of the Authority anymore, and Rollins being the new Golden Boy. Kane being the Authority watchdog, so to speak. And I even told you, I said, like, Corporate Kane didn't really do much for me, but he made it work. Glenn Jacobs made the most of every gimmick he was given.
Yep, I agree.
What's that old term? You make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Her.
Check me out real quick.
So yeah, after the show's over, that was it, man. That was the end of the show. I really don't know how to really rate this pay-per-view. I can't give it any more than a 5, I think.
Yeah.
And like it was, I didn't hate the show. I just thought it just wasn't anything like it. This could have easily have just been a Monday Night Raw, like easily. How about you?
Yeah.
Okay.
This could have been Raw. This could have been SmackDown.
Yeah, I agree.
There was nothing mind blowing about this pay-per-view. I mean, the Intercontinental title wasn't even featured. Who was the champ?
Know.
Who
I
was
know.
the champ? Does anybody know?
Who was it? Was it Cody in 2015?
No, let's see. Ryder won it at WrestleMania that year in the ladder match. Miz. Because didn't Miz
it was Miz.
Miz beat Ryder the Raw after Mania to become Intercontinental champion. So maybe it was Miz. Yeah. I guess there was no feuds.
Yeah. But yeah, that I just thought of that. That's crazy. For a show to be in Chicago, such a rabid fan base here, I really was hoping for a better show. I thought Rusev and Cena could have been better. But again, you and I just talked about it. I think having, the stipulation that they were in, no pun intended, they were kind of strapped with a no-win situation here.
Yeah.
And I just didn't like it because I felt like Cena deserved more. I thought the rivalry was good, so the rivalry deserved more. But yeah, if anyone wants to see the show, I'd 100% recommend the show for the tag team match with Kid and Cesaro and the New Day. I would definitely do that. Reigns and Big Show was actually pretty good. It was pretty decent. If you want to see an early, rise of the mega babyface Roman Reigns, everything else is pretty average, man. But yeah, I thought it was a below average, pay-per-view up until this point of 2015. WrestleMania 31, in my opinion, was one of the best ever. This Extreme Rules, I thought was just, again, 5 out of 10. Fastlane, I thought wasn't good. Even like the Royal Rumble of 2015, I thought wasn't good either, clearly. So
even The Rock couldn't say that.
Yeah, I know. So other than WrestleMania, like the beginning of 2015, dude, just was not good. It just wasn't good. So overall, you were okay with this pay-per-view, but it's easily forgettable.
It's an easily forgettable. Like when you first pitched to me, or actually anytime you pitch a pay-per-view to me, there's usually 1 or 2 matches that I'm like, oh, like I can't wait to watch that match and that match.
For sure.
When you said Extreme Rules 2015, I was like, I don't remember a single match from this.
Me either. And I looked at it. I'm like, you know what? We're a couple days removed from the anniversary of the show, so that's why I kind of picked it. But yeah, I just thought, man, I mean, maybe I'm hoping for good things maybe we're hoping for really good things from, I thought, from the Orton and Rollins main event. And then I watched it. I was like, this is a match just really just about Kane. I was like, what's the point? What is the point?
It was almost like the match was just another chapter in the Kane Randy Orton feud.
That's real. I agree. I agree.
Or like the Kane Seth Rollins feud, how like Kane wasn't really sure about Seth Rollins being in the Authority. It's like, I don't care.
I agree.
It was such a rough time for wrestling.
All right. So now, I have a cool thing that we're going to do, not tonight, but this is the end of the show. I think we're going to come on here for like 20 minutes or so Friday night, maybe after SmackDown, if George has time, because once SmackDown is done, then we can kind of really see what's going on with Backlash. Like as we really get into Backlash, if any final things happen. I kind of want to just come on here real quick with you guys and just stream like a pre-show type thing. We want to come on here and give our predictions for the show and what we expect to see out of Backlash. We'll just come on here real quick. we'll do that, and then we'll get ready, obviously, to watch the show Saturday afternoon. Super excited. I know George and I will be watching the game together with some good food. Looking forward to that. And then next week, a fresh new episode, a brand new month. We are going to be going over the top 5 factions ever. That is going to be a lot of fun. I think there's going to be some surprises in there as well. Can't wait for that. And then after the factions, Night of Champions 2023, 2019, and then Extreme Rules 2014. I'm going to use the Extreme Rules here as a floater that might get changed depending on something I want to talk about, but it might stay because it's literally going to be the 10th anniversary of that show. So I think maybe we'll keep it, but if something else pops up, maybe if George thinks of something, I can definitely change it. I can be swerved to change that. And then we'll get into June, top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time, Hell in a Cell 2022, Great American Bash 1997, and then possibly filling out the end of June with a TNA show from the mid 2000s to maybe early 2010s. But I will let you guys know that. All right. So thank you guys very much for tuning in at the Hot Tag Podcast on Instagram. If you're watching this ever on YouTube, like and subscribe and ring that bell for notifications on when we're going to go live again. So you can catch us on the Hot Tag Wrestling Show on YouTube or the Ring the Bell Network, which is Ring the Bell 856. So definitely check us out there. But again, thank you guys so very much. George, I appreciate it as always. And we'll catch you guys here on Friday for a little bit before Backlash, and then next week for our top 5 factions of all time. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.